Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Hey, Tony and Hobby and Dom and Big Sal, Washington football fan. Oh boy. Um, that's all. I'm going to make this a little wider. There we go. Huh. Anyway, so what's up? Um, First of all, is the sound okay? Can you hear me all right? Hi, Lee. Boy, this is. Let me see. That's what I wanted. Okie doke. Sounds okay, good. And the picture is considering the subject matter. Okie doke. What I wanted to talk about today are things that, that people don't like about watches, whatever they are. And if you see this in a watch, it's just sort of a deal breaker. And there's sort of degrees of deal breakers. Now, this is the dealing more with the information design on a watch, what you can see. Um, there's lots of stuff inside of a watch that are deal breakers. Cough, cough, silicon, but that's another story. I just sort of things like I mentioned in the so the announcement, a lot of Rolex owners were very upset. They don't like the Cyclops on the I guess what were they being? I guess on the day date or the diver with the diver date. They don't like the Cyclops that sort of magnifies that. Hi, Brendan. Um, what uh, what are some things like that that you sort of like you don't like that? Hey, Simi, bad coffee is a deal breaker. Yeah, I know. There's not enough coffee's a deal breaker too. Um, I I think I'm not a big fan of chronographs, not because I have anything against chronographs per se, but rather the chronographs that have all these subdials and you look at the time and it's there's so many subdials on there I was looking to see if I had one handy that so I'm not much of a fan of chronographs, not because of what chronographs do, but what they get in the way of, which is telling time at a glance. I guess time at a glance is very important to me because I've got on my iPhone. I got I get tons of information from the weather to everything else, and the date, day, and so on and so forth. Um, so I don't know. What do you guys think about dates? The reason I'm asking, just a regular, a date window, whether you can, a date window that has the date in it. See if I have a watch with a day window date on it right here. Not handy. No, I don't. I'm not big. That's one of my favorite watches is my Urban Jurgensen, and it's clean as a whistle, except it's got a little date window at 3 o'clock. Now the date window itself is fine, but I mean, every time I wind the thing up, it's hand wound. Every time I wind it up, I gotta then set the date, and then I gotta run it around to make sure that the date is the morning or afternoon, depending on what it is. And that kind of stuff, I just so if somebody says, "Oh boy, I want a date window," well, I got this for a date window. So I don't know. That's me though. So let's see what you guys. Uh, I don't like dates on dress watches. Yeah, that's I don't know. On my hemisphere, my Parmigiani hemisphere, it has the date, but the thing that's sort of cool about it is that it shows you the day before and the day after. The reason it does it all of the Even dates are just dots. The odd dates are the actual numbers. And by having this little three character window, the day before the dot and then the day after, you can figure it out what it is without a lot, or the date itself. And you can tell by looking at the dual day-night subdials whether it's night or day. Now that one I don't mind so much, but I'm just not a. And sometimes I'll get it. I won't set the date right or even bother to set it. I'll just wind it up and set the time. And so I don't know. Like I said, it was sort of in a weird state. We have so much information now in terms of even my stupid little Fitbit here. If I give it a few taps, it comes up with the exact time and how many steps I've taken and that kind of information. So it's sort of like Lee said, it's just a nice, clean, simple watch. This one's got a power reserve indicator on it, and the power reserve indicator, this one's over at 3 o'clock, and it's pretty much out of the way. And but I like it because this is hand wound. Now on an automatic, I just don't see the point of a power reserve indicator because you're moving all the time. I don't know. I don't mind them. Um, I also like certain ones, like they have on the H Mosers. They have them on the back, so I like that too. Um, so let's see what you guys have. Too much faux patina on a dial looking at you, Omega. Hey, Jonathan. Let's see. Let's see. Hair pulling bracelet. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I got sort of furry arms, so I understand that. But I tell you, I only have one bracelet. Everything else is a strap. I think that's all. Yeah, I've only got one, and so I don't run into that too much. Dates are okay sometimes. I agree, Dominic. I just like since I like hand wound watches, the stuff I have in my uh, winder, in the automatic winder, I've got a couple automatics that I keep in there. I keep my moon phase in there because I hate resetting the moon phase. And that thing has been keeping perfect time for a long time. And also the moon phase has been accurate since it's always in the winder. My little Seiko 5 is also in a winder with day date and really an amazing little watch. That one I don't mind so much either. Hey, Tuna, what's up? Abdul, hi, Abdul. Junk in the trunk. Hi, Thomas. See, not having a quality mainspring and balance wheel. I agree with that, John. Speaking of which, th- this watch, um, it has a heck of a time getting magnetized. This particular watch is not my other FPs are never been a problem, but just this one for some reason, and this one they like to get magnetized. Drives me crazy. And I bought this demag things and so forth, and I can't seem to get it demagnetized. And I think it's been about 5 years since it's had a service. And so I'm thinking of maybe asking them when I have the next service, maybe it's time for a new mainspring. I don't know. I'll have to check and see if they say. Fotina. Hi, Sean, Shane. Um, Fax Fotina. What is Fotina? Hi, Gnome. It's not a feature, but I really don't like the skeleton watches. Me neither. The problem with skeleton watches is that you look at them and you just see the skeleton. You don't see the time. I'm not a big fan of skeleton watches either. Hate date complication, pointless for anyone with a memory. Well, I don't have a memory, but I got my iPhone. Oh, let's see what's going on here. Hi, Cozy. My weird dial pet peeve has to do with the short second hand that doesn't extend far enough. That would drive me crazy too. That's another thing. I have decided the only reason to have a second hand is so you don't have to turn it over and see if the balance wheel is oscillating or not. Without that, I've got a watch I really, really like. I got this Roger Dubuis. It's called a Sympathy, but it's really more of a sports watch. It's got time only. That's all it's got. It doesn't. It has, I mean, hour and minute. It doesn't have a sub dial with a second or anything. If you want to know if it's running, you turn it over and you check out the wheel. And since it's an automatic, it's got one of those big stupid rotors that you have to sort of get around so you can see the time, see whether it's doing or not. But boy, I love that watch. It's so accurate. It's just one of those really great watches. Um, but you know, yeah, secondhand wouldn't hurt too much. Let's see. But I don't care for the day. Yeah, I've got. I don't. I think I. Well, I know I have. Well, I have two day dates that I can think of. One is my Seiko 5, but the other one puts on such a show that I like it, and that's my Harry Winston Premier by Retrograde. One of the retrogrades is the seconds, which is sort of weird but fun. The date is in a little porthole at 6 o'clock, but then the day is part of another retrograde. It's the other part of the retrograde. So you got to watch, and you have the retrograde on one side with a second going zip boop, and the other one is daily boop boop. Uh, so that's, I mean, those are the extent of my day dates, and I guess I don't know. I wish there were a date thing you could. I don't know. I can't think of a mechanical way to set your date. And by the way, too, when I set the date, I'm always looking at the time. When I set the time on my watch, I check my iPhone to see if the time's right. Okay. Um, Helium escape valves are the worst. Why is that, Abdul? I don't know. I just, they're just sort of like a big thump over here. Now, for a desk diver, maybe they ought to have a if they have a Helium escape hatch, escape pusher on it. And when the user falls asleep at his desk, it puffs. I don't know. But one of these things, these watches that look like, ocean going mines with all those little that sort of porcupine fuses sticking out. Fake old is not cool. Yeah, I guess that's a patina that I'm fake old. I'm really 25. This is my fake old. Um, I love two-handed watches. Yeah, me too. That's how come I think I like that uh, Roger Dubuis so much. It's funny though. One of my favorite watches is my little Urban Jurgensen with I think it's like center seconds, hour, minute, but then it's got a little 3 o'clock date window. And for some reason, I don't mind it on that watch. I not crazy about setting it every time I wind it, but I guess there's exceptions to everything. You know those big dates that they have on Alonga Unsunda? I really like those, but I'd probably be bothered by setting the date on the thing. What else have we got? Something um, only like helium at my party balloons. Extreme profit margins are what I hate. Can't you probably got a lot of us who agree with that. Um, yeah, the thing of it is that you got these guys who have these premiums. What a word for gouging. price gouging. They call, well, they're premiums. Well, they're not premiums, they're price gouging. And that, I just don't buy watches like that, period. Um, it's sort of like, I don't think there's a watch that's made that I would pay that kind of premium for. Um, hey, Gilberto, I haven't figured out how to use the helium escape valve either. I don't, hey, Brendan, I see. I agree on helium escape valves. Raise your hand and you're a saturation diver. Hi, Oatman. How are you? I know you love it, but I can't stand it when the second dial overlaps the hours. Oh, you don't like the ones that clip them? Yeah, I know. That's a lot of people don't like that. I love it. It's sort of a sub dial with an attitude. I got a park right here, and I don't care if there is a fire hydrant with a number on it. I got to boom right on top of it. But I can understand why, it's something that some people just hate, but I think they're cool. I just like the I don't know. Like I said, I can understand why some people don't like those, but to me, they give it some kind of life to it, some kind of spirit to your watch, as opposed to something that I would design just by do the math on it. Hey, John, marketing ploys which end up with no watches available after the ads are communicated in various medium. ETA are pros in this field. Moon watches. It's funny. Um, I take the New Yorker magazine, and I really like it. And I seen watch ads at the back of it. Usually they have something like they'll have Rolex. I think I've seen Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe. They're going after a higher end, or people who think they're higher end, who have the magazine. But I think it was this week they had that Swatch Omega in there, and I don't know. A lot of people who got it aren't too happy with it, but what do I know? Um, it wasn't a joke, Oatman. It was we have it. It was like, here's the way to look at it. It was like one of the how women have little beauty marks. That's what our our little stub on the 8 is. It's a beauty mark. Yeah, marketing nonsense. What gets me? There are some actors who I really like, but then they're out there touting watches. I'm trying to think. They have the squads. Maybe it was Tag Heuer or somebody, and they had a bunch of these actors, and these actors are, oh, this is a good watch. They don't know jack about watches, and so why would anybody buy a watch based on what some actor said? I know a lot of people like the James Bond. Oh, this was in a James Bond movie. That's okay, I guess. It was, but it's sort of in a way sort of silly. The reason I think it's silly is it takes away from the horology. Um, one thing I saw, this guy was Flack. There's a series. I think it's on oh, what's the name of that program? The Prime, Amazon Prime. It's got that, and it's called Flack, and it's about this PR company dealing with all these idiot celebrities who get themselves in trouble, and it's sort of a lot of fun. And there's this one billionaire who is really a pain in the neck, and he's wearing an FP Journe, and the comment was, oh well, yeah, you've got to show off, so you get an FP Journe. That was so funny. I think it's more my favorite watch to show off and have fun with. Is got this god awful name. It has a ETA base, but it's got other things about it that are just great. And that is my Chaumet Dandy Artie. I mean, with a name like that, that has got to be, that's got to raise red flags. But it's the opposite. It's an open face, and I don't like open faces like I do. But that just the open face shows these agonized gears, and they have this wheel going around so beautifully. Now that's an exception. I mean, that whole watch, everything about that watch is original. I mean, unique in the sense that it's got the, here's the center, and then way over here is the either the second hand, or in my case, I got the Ferris wheel. What fun! What a fun watch! It's got a patent leather strap with a gray silk liner on it, a stringer. Man, that watch is, that's enough to drive any. I'd love to take that to a watch show. What are you wearing? I got my dandy on. I tell you, I have so much fun with that watch. It's hard to set. It's hard to wind. And when you set it, you turn it clockwise, and the hands go counterclockwise. It just, that thing is so eccentric that it is so much fun. Yeah, you can't find them anymore though. Okay, let's see. Branding. I don't like humongous branding logos. Feel like it's a billboard. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, that's like these people buy these, like a Burberry, and it'll say Burberry, like you're like you have a sandwich board or something. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Too much of it. Um, we, yeah, no, those things. Just a simple watch is generally what I like the best. Just simple hand wound watch, and I've got some automatics that I like. Both of my Parmigiani are automatic. Also I'm pretty sure that all Rolexes are automatic. I mean, the ones that they have. I know that the Prince, which I really like, the Cellini Prince is hand wound, but all of the other ones are automatics. Okay, what you got here? Moonface. Hey, Phil. Plastic Omega is a mistake. I tried a moonwatch, and after the novelty wore off, about 10 seconds, they were sadly felt like a plastic toy with a cool face. Yeah, I've heard that, Koji. They're just like, even Swatch has style of their own, and imitation Omega is not. Yeah, Swatch, I don't know. Swatch and Patek Philippe have gone the route, and when I say Swatch, I mean all of the Swatch brands seems to be going down the silicon rat hole. But like I said, I'm highly opinionated on that. Um, Another ETA which fill the bill, Tissot uh, telemeter chronograph, which are out in mid-July, are already unavailable. Yeah, that was a good watch. I agree. I like that Tissot. That's a cool watch, and they're already sold out. And there is nothing about that watch that is not authentic. I mean, the movement is just a hand wound movement, I think, and that's a cool watch. They sold out, and I'm glad they did, because what that does, it tells the watchmakers, hey, this is what collectors like to get. I agree 100% on that one. The amount of profit generated from Swatch Omega project has been incredibly successful. Yeah, that's another thing. That's a good point, Ken. You have, I mean, if it were not for the fact that watch companies didn't make a profit, they wouldn't be around to make watches for us. And so, yeah, we all want watch companies to do well. This is another thing. I really don't know what percent of the watch buying public are collectors. I know that there's probably certain watches that only collectors would want, but I'm sure they got some bean counters in there keeping a close eye on what people are buying. Take a look at that plastic Omega. That thing took off like hotcakes, and basically, according to Omega owners, it's a piece of junk. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with it. I'm simply saying that was the reaction they got, but people, they snatched them up right away. Hey, Tony, the only good thing about the Moonswatch, yeah, that's what it's called, is that there are so few of them, and apparently not many will be made that someday they may be worth something. I don't know. I just suppose in a weird way. I mean, that's sort of like a pet rock, uh, increasing in value. I hate watches that try to scam you. Watches that avoids mentioning the information about the movement. I'm with you, Abdul. I'm with 100%. Something very interesting. I sometimes when I started whining about one of the many things I whine about. That is one of them. Like, how come they just don't tell us what the movement is, and blah 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 blah. And I felt, what about you other guys who have watch shows? Well, I was watching Federico's watch thing the other day, and he was grousing about it too. And I thought, all right, I you don't feel like sort of the old curmudgeon out there, muttering like, oh, back in the old days they did it this way, which probably wasn't true anyway. Hey, tactical banana, not so much a feature, but can't do asymmetric date window. Okay. I like asymmetrics. I'm sort of asymmetric myself, so it's probably something. Let's see. Joas, how are you? Watch hobby doesn't have to be serious. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You got to if we're not having fun with watch collection, we probably ought to take up another hobby. I mean, if your idea of having fun is going through 1,000 pages on the internet to find out the type of hairspring, if that's your idea of a good time, you belong in the hobby. If you're doing either that or the booby hatch. But yeah, I think that's always important. Worrying about things like people talk about resale value um, as important. It's resale value is not real value. The horological value is the same. Resale amounts may be a lot or a little. And I've said it once, I say it again. The best friend that a watch collector has is really poor retention of the initial price. And so if a watch costs $10,000 and as soon as it leaves the shop, it's a $5,000 watch, buy it at 5,000, then what you'll find, then it keeps that 5,000 for a long time. Sometimes you buy a watch and the price just goes shooting through the moon. And but that wasn't why I got the watches that happened to. I like this one because of the parallel double barrels. I like my resonance because of the whole phenomenon of resonance, and some other watches for the same reason. By the way, too, you know what I'm really curious about? Next year, Kari Voutilanen is taking over Urban Jurgensen. That's going to be a really interesting to watch what happens with that. Kari Voutilanen did some of the work on some of the original Urban Jurgensens way back when. And it's interesting that he has decided to buy the company. He and some other investors, I guess, have. And his daughter is taking over the customer service. So that's sort of cool. That's something to look forward to. Now, this, is sort of like anything else. If you're not a watch collector, you could care less. But these kind of little historical bumps and jiggles make it interesting. Hey, Thomas. The marketing of plastic Omega has been genius. Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, this is another thing too. Yeah, Thomas is a good point. Makes a good point. If you're in it to make money, yeah, there are a lot of things like that. You can put out all kinds of junk and make money with it. Uh, and and that's okay. I've got nothing against anybody making money, um, as long as they're not screwing somebody else. But if you're interested in horology, I think the thing to do with things like the plastic moon watch is to ignore it. I mean, a it's not to further horology, a mechanical horology. It's to make a quick buck, and Thomas is absolutely right when he points that out. Yeah, if you really want a plastic chronograph, just buy a normal watch. That's right. I was looking at some watches, and just about every brand has some group of chronographs, and probably the great majority of chronographs are based on the value 7750, I think. I could be wrong. That's not statistical, but it seems that every time I do a little deep dive, that's what comes up. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah. IWC's $5,000 watch with $100 movement. It's usually more like a $10,000 watch. And then they give you some phony baloney name. The name of our movement is IWC or WC something or other. If you got somebody else's movement in your watch, uh, say what it is. I mean, what's wrong with saying I've got an ETA 2892. I've never had anything against ETA. They are inexpensive, and my only complaint was that people had those in their watches and were selling them under basically misleading uh, labeling of them. But ETAs, I've sort of come to like them, and now that they're not as available, and a whole bunch of them have these silicon hairsprings, I've come to treasure the ETAs with a Navirox hairspring. By the way, too, that was one of the interesting things I think that was in the ad for that Tissot that sold out. They had a Navirox hairspring, which meant that it wasn't silicon. And so, I mean, if that was aimed at collectors, boy, I tell you, they hit the target. And if they sold out, I'm not surprised. I'm very happy to hear that. And instead of spending a whole bunch of money on even celebrities I like, um, it doesn't, know. All right, what else you guys have here? I hate date windows that aren't color coordinated, such as, yeah, uh, Cotter, that's right. Another thing related to that is sometimes you got a goofy font. You've got this really beautiful font, a Breguet font with all the numbers, and then you have something that looks like, uh, sans serif Arial as a number and a date. They should complement each other. Or if there is one of the things I like on my Parmigiani, the first of the month is always in red, and that's sort of cool. You're going around, you look at those little dots and numbers, and boom, here comes your red one. Um, I bought my Vostok for $55, and now I can't find it for less than 57. That's what I call a smart investment. Um, Dates so small you can't read them. Yeah, why bother? I agree, Tony. That's another great point. Maybe that's why these big dates, and that's also why I like the magnifier thing. My Urban Jurgensen doesn't have a big date, but it's somehow they made it very clear. Plastic Moon and Good Girl for Kids introduction to watches. Yeah, that and Happy Kitty or Hello Kitty. Some of these watches, though, I think, what I would like to see for introduction to watches for kids is simply a very simple um, mechanical one that you turn it over and see on the back, and you can see the wheel train and everything. If kids are interested in the mechanics of timekeeping, I'm sad about the accuracy problems with the slimline monolithic. Hey, Oatman. Okay. You know, there's a accuracy. There was no way that your mechanical watches are going to have the same accuracy as a quartz watch. Quartz watch blew a big hole in the whole business of watchmaking. And so what they seem to be doing is they're creeping back into that. That's the way I view silicon, because now you can't adjust the hairspring. The hairspring is like this, you put them into a microwave or whatever they cook them up in, and then they come out with these sheets, and they're all the same and they're all perfect. And where's the fun in that? Are you wearing a T-shirt of the Joy Division album Unknown Pleasures? No. There's a shop in San Francisco called Upper Playground, and whenever my son wanted he wanted to say, what do you want for your birthday? So, give me something from Upper Playground, and they have all this wild kind of stuff that he likes. So this one comes from Upper Playground, and it's sort of the state of California outlined in a seismograph. So that's where it's from. There are probably some other that have similar kinds of motifs. Tactical banana. I just like over the top marketing. Let the product make the. Yeah, what I would like to see is a watch advertisement that shows you what it's made of. We've been promoting our Lyrique Etude One, and we're doing it on the basis of this is what you're getting. These are the people who made it. This is the design. This is the people who everything about it, and at the same time, not criticizing anybody else's. We don't have to. We're just happy about our watch. Okay. Hi, Joas. A feature I don't like is a troublesome in-house movement, which is sold as robust movement used in sports watches. That's sort of interesting. Okay, Big Sal, you got the frying pan out there for me. I get the message. What happened to Rancher? Where's Rancher when we need him? Anyway, guys, thanks for coming. It was sort of I've never had a discussion like this where we just sit around and gripe about what we don't like, but it was sort of fun. Anyhow, you guys take care. And this afternoon, we're going to have I want to talk about some other things. There, it's not so much complaining, but it's rather, I want to take a look at the most affordable constant force elements in a watch. Take care, everyone.